so far here's what I have as a template so far, and that's a little cutout for the window. So when I turn my head, boop, I can still see out the back window. I don't think it's gonna affect the sound too much because it's still going to be, you know, we're gonna use foam and make sure that it's still somewhat airtight, but at least it makes it a lot safer. I'm also thinking about doing some acrylic over here. That way I can see out the mirror instead of using the camera mirrors. So it's looking pretty good so far. I'm gonna drive to work with it like this today and see what it feels like. I could already hear a huge difference just from the cardboard. The car, I hate to say this, but it almost seems like a casket. It's incredibly quiet. So I've got the cardboard basically finished for the rough prototype. I think I'm gonna make this 3 pieces where you've got 2 bottom pieces and then a 3rd top piece that kind of ends right there, so we have a nice seam across the whole thing. So when we've got fabric on this, it's gonna look nice. And then it'll bolt right in there into that little piece on the side and then bolt in the box. And basically when I insert it in the car, it's just going to come in this way and sink itself into the window over there. So should be pretty easy to cut out and execute now that the rough idea is there. For the bottom, I'm gonna angle cut this. That way when the 3/4 inch fascia comes in, it's gonna be flush with that, and then possibly build a little platform here, 9-degree platform. That way the material can, you know, cover it a little bit nicer, and we could get some sealing happening around this, which is the main battery disconnect. Here's the view from the back of the car. Rough idea. Seals up the cabin pretty well. I'm gonna have a little cutout for these hangers because they're integral to actually keeping the roof up. So I want to keep those in there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use a Dremel to cut out the actual fascia, a little nook for that it could go into. So I'm gonna mark that out with the marker once the fascia is cut out. And if you're wondering why I have that little divot over there on this side, it's so I could actually look out the window when I'm driving. So my head is right over here, and when my head turns, you can see it's right outside of the angle of where I'm looking at it. So it should be perfect. Should make it a little bit safer. It's not going to be fun trying to angle it and get it around that, but I'll figure it out. Otherwise it's going to be pretty much straight, and I'm going to have to angle the corners because it's 3/4 inch, and you know, this is not flat. Alright, so just finished the bottom panel. At least finished it for now without the holes for the subwoofers or the ports. You can see it came out pretty nice. The idea is that this panel goes up to about the window level, and then the other panel will stack on top of it, which is going to close off the top. And next I'm going to build that little corner over there. Overall, I am incredibly happy with this. The foam will basically fill in all these little imperfections here, but overall I am incredibly happy with how it came out. And it fits together really well. Just enough space to tuck the material potentially. Maybe I'll need to make just a little bit more space so I could tuck the material in there and have one nice seam in the middle. But overall, couldn't be happier. Looks great. So next, I'll fill that corner in, maybe tap holes over here. That way the positioning is locked in, so I could start working on the top piece. So just finished the platform, the little base. See, this one's pretty good as well. I made a little 9-degree corner underneath it to support the weight. And the top shelf is going to extend a few inches here. And then I'm going to have a 90 or 45 degree, partition come up, kind of wrap around here. But I'm going to save that probably till the end once I have all the other spacing figured out. So far, again, really happy to see how this is coming along. So this is the homemade jig I made on the router to cut out the fascia. So the subwoofer goes up to here, so I'm going to have a little bit more room. That way, you know, it doesn't touch the subwoofer directly like a baffle would. It just kind of goes around it. Alright, so I'm ready to cut the last subwoofer hole. So I installed my jig while all the panels are aligned and installed here. That way I can get a perfect circle and there's nothing off. Because I do have a little bit of space for the fabric to go in between the panels. So if I were to take these panels up and try and line them, I'm worried I'd be off by a little bit that may be noticeable. So this way I could get a perfect circle and everything will look good. So this is the right panel. It's almost done. You can see I rounded the corners for the subwoofers, so it's nice. This is the middle top sub. I added a piece of hardwood. This is where I'm going to mate it with the top piece for extra stability in the car. And what I've done is I've routed a little channel right behind the subwoofer area. That way, when I bring in the material, the leather, the fake leather, I could just wrap it in the channel and around the back, glue it and staple it back here. That way it doesn't affect how this mates with the actual box. So it's still tight, but then the material has a little bit of edge where it can wrap around. The major cuts are done. We got the top panel, 2 lower panels, the subwoofer panels have been smoothed out, and then I made a little edge with the router on the inside to tuck the material in once that's ready to be put on. The cutout for the window is there, and for the side window it's also there. I just am missing that piece. That's the only wood piece I'm missing. Here, Jack. From the back, you can see I have a little ledge that the plexiglass will rest on, and basically the top piece is mated to this, but it's removable. That's kind of just like a guide. There's a side. I made little divots, the router as well, on those hangers. Follows the window well. That piece is going to add stability, so it's going to be tapped from the front, so it's removable as well. Along the side here, you can see what I was talking about. Behind the subwoofer and wherever the material will tuck in, that needs to be hidden so the wood is flush with the box. I have that little channel. The seats. Let's put the seats all the way back. So you can see there's plenty of space as well as room for the subwoofer to travel. So it was all measured out before everything started. Hi, Jack.
That's the Fiat car.
Yeah, it's a Fiat car.
Mirror. You can see.
I left some space between the wood where the material will get tucked in. I'm going to use some foam to make sure it all looks nice and even. Let's see here. All came out really nice.
It's really nice.
It's nice, huh? So in the mirror, you can see, you get an idea. That's still usable.
It's usable.
Yeah, it still is usable. Same thing with the side. If I turn my head,
I can turn my head.
I could see.
I can see.
Thank you, Mr. Parrot. Well, the seat's in the way, but when the seat's moved up a bit, you can see I still have visibility.